You know, we've all been there. A close friend of your wife or your husband ask you a question or they make a bold statement. And without even a thought, you just react. And you react either with body language or words that create an instant reaction from the other person.
And you know, before you know it, you may be deep into a full-fledged argument or the death stare.
Right?
And amazement from the other people as to what your reaction caused in the relationship.
And we're going to tell you that this is an area that Jody and I, since doing the research on this topic, is a top area for us to constantly work on. So today we're excited to share with you a lot of the learning that we have and some examples of where we fail in this and where we have to work hard.
So today's teaching, we have 4 areas. The first is to understand the difference between reacting and responding.
And let me tell you, there's a huge difference. And the second thing we're going to do is tell you which one is better and why.
And then we're going to talk about some of the causes that make you react instead of responding.
And lastly, what are the steps that you can take to move towards responding more and reacting less?
That's what Mark's working on.
I am constantly working on it. And if you stay to the end, we're going to give you our 4 tips because we do struggle with this.
We do.
And you might too. And if you do struggle with this, hang on to the end because we're going to show you how Jody and I are working on this together.
So let's put this into real life. And I won't use a story with Mark because I don't want to pick on him here publicly.
It'd be a good
YouTube.
story, though. I mean, and for any of you that want to leave a comment and you want to hear the real story,
Well, this is a real story.
no, the real story
Oh.
that started this.
So, did you ever have one of those friends? And so I'll call my friend Pam. And Pam met me one day at the yoga studio, and she was kind of down and out. And that went on for a couple of weeks. And it turned out her relationship wasn't working out so well. She gave me some specifics. Really seemed like a good time for her to part ways
And meanwhile,
with a relationship.
I'm following along with this just through our morning coffee conversation.
So I get my head around it, talk to her before yoga, try to listen. But I finally get to the point where I lost my ability to respond and I just started reacting. Right as
Why?
I started.
Because you were getting impatient.
I think I was getting impatient.
Right.
And there were so many themes to this story that I felt like, it was time to kind of,
Yeah.
figure out a solution. So finally, she came to me and I'm ready and she starts talking and I interrupted and reacted with, great, I think you should stop seeing this person. It's not working for you. It's not healthy. Turns out the end of her story was they had reconciled and got back together.
And I remember when that happened. I remember you came home and you were so upset and she was upset and you had to, I don't know if the right words, claw your way back in.
No,
but you had to eat crow and apologize and
Because I
admit
lost
you were
my
insensitive.
way
Yeah.
because I didn't respond. I just finally hit the reaction button and everything she said I reacted to and I overstepped.
And we're going to tell you today about how to stop doing that and to really be more thoughtful in a response.
But before we do that, I think it's important to always take a step back and understand the difference when we're talking
Right.
about 2 terms. So let's talk about reacting first. Reacting is instant, and there's little or no thought usually put behind what you say. In Psychology Today, we read a great article that really cited that a reaction is driven by beliefs and biases and prejudice of the unconscious mind. So you don't even know you're doing
You
or
don't.
saying or coming from a place. It's
It's
just
built in.
part of who
That's
you are.
your DNA. That's how you're programmed. And, I'm 64 years old and I've got beliefs and biases and prejudice built in. And when I react sometimes, that's what's reacting.
Right. And it's important to know it's based in the moment. You're not taking into account perhaps the well-being of yourself or
Right.
those around you. And the final thing about reacting is it often ends in regret.
It does.
Like my story.
It does. The other thing about reacting, it's emotion driven. Just your pure raw emotions are coming out. Now, sometimes if you're responding, that can have emotion in it too, and that'd be helpful. but it's thought out emotion. It's positive. It feels good. It reinforces what you're trying to do.
You know, a
And
reaction can also often be aggressive. I don't
it
know if you
is.
were going to say
I
that.
was,
but
because it's emotion driven, but that can all of a sudden sound aggressive
Right.
with your tone, pace, and pitch of your voice. And it also sometimes you're reacting because you're surviving. You're being challenged. You're being hit on, and you're defending yourself, and saying something that's got nothing to do with what the other person said. You just feel on a defensive, so you react and you blow things up.
That's often, as we've been doing our analysis on why we do it, that's often my reason. You know, full disclosure, that's why I react, is often I get very defensive.
And is that going to stop soon?
Depends.
That's
No,
true.
of course it is, you know, because we're working hard and we're challenging our clients to work hard on responding.
Right.
Because responding is different. You know, responding is well thought out.
It is.
It comes out more slowly. It's delayed. It's often much more thoughtful.
And it comes from a calm place. Typically, it's going to help resolve the issue. But taking your time, speaking slowly and clearly,
Right.
and not just coming out with the first thing that comes into your mind is going to be a good, well thought out response.
So that's really the difference between reaction and response. So the second thing we said we talked to you about today is which one is better and why. And we had a little debate over this
We do?
because sometimes a reaction is okay, like in joy and happiness.
Well, that's true.
If it's soulful and heartfelt, you know, somebody calls you,
With
I'm
great
having a
news,
baby, and you're
yeah.
like, oh my God,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
that's a joyful, happy, soulful reaction. So reaction isn't always all bad.
Right. But most times, a reaction creates problems because there's no filtering process. Again, you're not thinking about what you're saying. You just say something. You say what's on your mind with little or no thought. And it also, you know, it can be a deep-seated problem that you might not even be aware of, or maybe you are aware of, and now things are worse because of what you said.
So a response is better most of the times because it can diffuse a problem.
Right?
It can open the door for deeper conversation and understanding. It can help heal wounds, and it can often deepen your relationship.
You know, if this is resonating with you and you're finding this information useful, please give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe so you get all of our latest YouTube videos that come out.
So we went a little bit deeper between reacting and responding, and I wanted to go a little bit further on reacting because it's important for me in my growth and development to learn what causes me to react instead of responding. So we came up with a few things. The first thing is often a stressful time or a stressful conversation or just harboring stress
Right.
causes you to react.
Plus, you can be just impatient. You
Right.
know, just last week we're sitting having coffee, and we've been there for 40 minutes, and I was kind of losing my way, and I was like, I just want to go, I just want to leave. But I didn't say anything. But you asked me a question, and I just reacted.
Right.
Because I was impatient. I wasn't being honest with you. Or maybe you're not paying attention, and that happens to me a lot.
I was just going to say,
Jody's-
that's probably your biggest reaction.
It is that I'm not really paying attention to what's going on around me. I'm not paying attention to what Jody's doing. I'm not paying attention to what she's saying. So when I hear what she said, maybe I didn't catch it all, and my mind is running on autopilot, and I just say something stupid. So anyway, that's what causes me to react.
Sometimes, though, and you may have seen situations, maybe in your workplace, maybe in your, social community, you see where people react because they're actually indifferent to one another.
Which is terrible.
It's a harsh reaction, right? So the reaction is coming out because of indifference, right? The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. And when you actually see that, you see a lot of reaction.
Yeah, there's couples that we meet with, and you meet with them together, and we're not marriage counselors, but you'll hear one of them talk about the other saying, I really just, he or she doesn't mean anything to me anymore. They're indifferent about it. It's really sad. And it can be fixed, but again, the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifferent. And if you're indifferent about someone,
You react.
you're going to react because you don't
Right.
want to give them the time of day.
Right.
So anyway, if you find that, you certainly want to go out and get some help.
So let's
how-
move away from reaction and get back to how do we move more towards responding to each other?
Well, the first thing clearly is to take your time. Just be patient. When Jody, what's that?
Oh, I don't
Well,
know.
Yeah, I saw you point your finger.
Oh.
When Jody asks me a question, first of all, I need to be paying attention. What? But I need to think about.
I'm making the list.
I understand. I'm trying to be vulnerable here,
Okay.
and you're not helping
Okay,
at all
sorry.
because
Right.
this is me opening up to the world about our marital problems. Oh yeah. So take your time.
Right.
Be patient. And you have to resist the natural urge that we all have to respond immediately. And if you need to, just let the other person know, you know what? I need a little more time before I respond.
And that's
that's-
actually a
and that's
very
okay.
thoughtful pause.
It
you
is.
know, it actually to tell somebody I heard you, I'm digesting it. I
Right.
want to make sure I give it the fair amount of thought before I respond. I think that's okay.
It's not only okay, it's probably what I need to do all the time, particularly with you, because your questions are so deep and intuitive and and I don't even know what else.
right.
But I need to slow down when I give you answers because it doesn't always work with my quick answer.
The other thing to realize is sometimes a response isn't warranted. Sometimes people
That's
aren't
true.
looking for a response.
That's true.
You know, sometimes it's okay just to acknowledge
Right.
and not react or respond. So I put that out there as maybe a third, as a
Yeah.
third option.
So let's share our 4 tips on what we're doing to be better at this, to make sure that you respond instead of react.
You
Wait.
Did
Did I just say that? Oh
see
my.
how this goes for me, guys?
So the first thing is we talk about it. We research it. We read about it. We get vulnerable with each other. We apologize. We know what we do, and we know we're not good at it sometimes. So we're just talking about it.
The other
Is
thing
that
we
fair?
do,
I mean, I don't know how you want to add
it
to that.
is. It is fair, but the other thing to do is something we tell our clients. Make sure you give your partner or the person you're having a conversation with, and a little bit of space for mistakes and a little bit of a space for a do-over. And
Do-overs.
And
You
Mark
get
and
a
I
lot
realize,
of do-overs.
Mark and I realized we have a hard time with that sometimes.
We do.
Because I actually was talking and we were back and forth on whether this should be react, respond, or rebound. Because rebounding is a
That's
big
another
part
whole
of this.
topic.
It is a
It's-
big,
and
but it's a
we
big
should-
part of this.
We should do that one
Yeah.
next because we
Yeah.
struggle with that. Because what happens is you say something, I say something, you react, I react to your reaction, you react to my reaction,
Right.
and now we got a shit show on our hands.
Right.
And
right.
it's so, anyway.
So the first one is open the dialogue. The second one is give space for mistakes and a do-over or a rebound.
Right. And the third one is, again, I've said this before, our natural urge is to immediately react. So you need to fight that. You need to slow down and take a time out.
And really ask some appreciative inquiry questions. You know,
Right.
those open-ended questions that give yourself some time.
Right. So when someone says something, instead of reacting, ask
Right.
more questions.
Right.
And the last thing is the 5th tip that we work on. Really hard we work on this. And you should too, or maybe you don't have this issue, but it's stress management. I mean, really, if we are feeling stressed, then we're not going to respond normally. We're going to react and it's going to be a problem.
Right. So
you-
so work on your exercise and your mindfulness and your self-care. Figure out what helps you be less stressed. What are you fueling your body
Right.
with? What healthy foods? Do you
Right.
need to take a walk?
Do some reading. Do you need a weekly massage? It's so important to eliminate stress out of your life.
Right.
Not just for reaction and conversation, but it just makes you healthier. So we hope the 5 tips were great. We hope you enjoyed this video today. If you liked it, please share it with your friends. Please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so that you get the latest videos as they come out.
And finally, join our free Facebook community. The link is in the notes below.
Thanks for listening, and we look forward to being back with you again soon.